And apparently it's staying on. This is nice.
Super.
Okay, here we go in 5. Good morning, Sheila. How are you doing this bright and sunny Thursday morning?
I'm doing great, Wayne. How about yourself?
I'm doing wonderfully well. Thank you very much.
Super. Great.
And welcome to everyone to 27 Minutes with Sheila and Wayne, where we talk about communication skills and verbs as we are attempting to change the world positively, one verb at a time.
Thank you, Wayne.
Thank you, Sheila. And what is our verb for today?
Today's verb is to conduct, and I have 4 quick little definitions for it. You no doubt have more than that, but here we go. It's from the Latin verb word which meant brought together, but today's definitions are to organize and carry out, to lead or guide to or around a place, to direct the performance of, and finally, to behave in a certain way.
Oh, okay. And you're right. I do have some more.
Super. Let's hear them.
And and since it's conduct and since it's out of dictionaries, they're pretty close. But to organize and perform a particular activity,
Mm-hmm.
to behave in a particular way, especially in a public or formal situation, or to
Oh,
organize the way in which you live in a particular way.
okay.
That was pretty long.
Yeah.
Um, several more. To lead someone to a particular place,
Yeah.
to direct the performance of musicians or a piece of
Yes.
music. Yes.
Yes.
And 5 more. To allow electricity. Yeah, there's a lot of them.
I guess so. Oh, yes, the electricity one. I like that.
to allow electricity or heat to go through.
Oh,
To conduct people to a place is to walk there with them.
okay. We're
Which,
we're walking. We're walking.
oh, I like that commercial. Yes. 3 more. To cause yourself to behave in a particular or controlled manner. I like that one. To do something or make something happen. I thought that was pretty verbish.
Right.
And
Very verbish.
my last one's to organize a particular activity in order to find out or prove facts.
Okay.
I'm not sure about you, but I found this word, 1, it was almost confusing, and 2, it was very hard to really nail down which path I was going to go on because it's
Right.
such a different word.
I found a new term around this word, and turns out there is a government website called plainlanguage.gov, and it promotes the use of simple, plain language for government communications in order to help the consumer to be more valuable and to be more clear. And it called the word conduct one of the hidden verbs. So I said, well, what the heck is a hidden verb? And a hidden verb, they say, is a verb converted into a noun, which often needs an extra verb to make sense. So it makes the sentence too wordy. And let's see if they gave me an example here. Let's see. No, they didn't. But let's
The nerve of
see.
them
Oh,
not to
yes,
give you
they
the
did.
example.
Here it is.
Okay. All right.
Our organization conducts an analysis of the data. Now, the way they would prefer that we say it in plain language is we analyze data. So conduct is one of those words that can make a sentence too wordy and too long because it sounds good.
I see. And I wasn't struggling, but I had a kind of an epiphany happen to
Okay.
me as I was looking at the noun and the verb
Okay.
itself.
Okay.
And I realized and I learned through some other readings that the verb is pronounced differently than the verb is.
Yes, the noun and verb are pronounced differently.
Because the verb is conduct, the noun is conduct.
Right.
And I thought, wow, I never, maybe I knew that somewhere in the archives of my brain, but I did not really get it until I started listening and reading, and I said, "Huh," you know, and like the old commercial, you say one of those things that make you go, "Hmm."
Hmm.
Yes. All right. And which way would you like to go today? Well, you want to start us off? Go ahead. I always start us off, but
Well,
I'm gonna.
I did
Yes.
find a fun little bit about conducting music.
Ah.
So it's there is on websites that tell you how to conduct music. They call it an elusive and misunderstood art form that can often lead to confusion and sometimes ridicule. Sometimes a leader is required to keep things in good order, and that's a nice little note about life. And this was all from an editorial team in music theory on composedfocus.com. So I started thinking, okay, conducting music, it really is a conversation between the conductor and the orchestra, if you will.
Hmm.
But what happens when you win a raffle to be guest conductor of an orchestra? Because you see this at fundraisers, and you go, so a person with no skill is conducting the orchestra. What could go wrong? So I found a YouTube video about of a fella called the Dancing Guest Conductor. He did win a raffle in
Uh-huh.
2022. His name was Tim Schultes or something like that. So
Okay.
the New York-based Chelsea Orchestra, he won a raffle prize as a guest conductor, and he decided ahead of time to act like a Carol Burnett comedian. So
Oh.
first of all, he wore a big black puffy jacket and a black kilt, and he. All we can say is even the orchestra members said they had to look away from him while he was conducting because they would start laughing. So he put some nice little hip movements in there, and he used the baton as a lasso around his head as he was
Ah.
conducting. The audience loved him. Fortunately, the orchestra knew the music and didn't really need him there.
That's good.
So it could have gone really wrong, but in this case, it went really well
Good for everyone.
for everyone. So
Yes.
if you want to look that up, you can go look up the dancing guest conductor
Tim
on
Schultes.
right
Okay.
or
I,
something like that.
or something like that.
Right, right.
Okay. All right. And as it was funny what you said about conducting music, and that's what you thought about. Because as I started thinking about this verb, conduct,
Mhm.
I chuckled because I wrote an article that was published in
Ah.
a resource management bulletin. It's an official professional bulletin published
Mhm.
quarterly by the and sponsored by the Assistant Secretary of the Army for Financial
Ooh,
Management, if you will.
great.
And so they asked me to write an article, and I said, okay. So and they were talking about conduct or
Oh,
conducting,
okay.
and so I wrote an article on conducting.
Let's hear the highlights or the whole
Oh,
article if you want.
well, okay. You know what? I'm not going to give you the whole article but I will give you one paragraph,
Okay.
and I won't give you the article because I'm going to tell our listening audience. First of all, Sheila, how can our listening audience find you?
Why, thank you for asking. They can find me on my website, which is zekeandsheila.com. And if they really feel the need to get in touch with me, well, they can use your email address, Wayne.
I see. I wasn't going to ask that
I
today.
know, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
And they can find me at www.mindsyncing.com. And I'm going to spell that very slowly this time. MINDSYNCING.com. And I'm saying that because my article is on that website. And so if someone
Excellent.
wants to
I'm going to
read
look it up.
Okay, if someone wants to read the article in its entirety, please go to my website and look at published works, and you'll find the article that says "Conducting Resource Management: Another Approach." So I won't give you, as I said, I won't give you all of the article, but I will read this one little portion here, if you don't mind.
I
Do
don't mind.
Okay, so the article, I have all kinds of intros and how I got to this point, and this is about maybe the 2/3 into the article. So I'm talking about a resource manager, much like you just said, a leader. of a group, of an organization. So anyway, here we go. Imagine the resource manager, who I say is the conductor, has just raised a hand as if to capture our attention. All is quiet. Then comes a beckoning gesture from the conductor, the resource manager, directed to the group in the back of the organization, and a definition is presented. They're defining the problem by the group in the back. Now the conductor, who is the resource manager, looks to the group to his right and beckons a response, which could be possible solutions. Now she turns to her left and with her left hand points to the group on the left front side and says to them as if to say, "What say you?" Looking for alternative solutions. Now with one finger over her lips, the conductor quiets the organization and begins ever so slowly to raise the volume of the group. First, the conductor points to the group in the middle and raises his hand from low to high as if to say, "Begin." Now she looks to the group on the right and completes a similar motion of engagement. Then to the left, now to the front, over to the right, and now hushing the organization ever so slightly, but not totally, she listens, testing the possible solutions. Now he smiles brightly, having gathered the best information at his disposal, collaborating with everyone on the team and some outside of the team, gathering all their experience, knowledge, best practices to date. He raises his hands and starts a new rhythm from within the organization. It starts very low and gathers greatness and momentum as she artfully orchestrates all of the players towards the strategic goal. At this point in time, it's quite loud, as you could probably imagine, as everyone plays from the same page, which is the best alternative. Finally, the conductor gestures swiftly and firmly at the group in the back right, and a very loud boom is heard throughout the building. The product was now delivered. She raises her arms as if to suspend the sound for eternity, and then she quickly brings her arms crashing down to her waist with one solid motion. All sound has stopped, and for just a brief moment, nothingness. Then an eruption of applause is heard, which is the audit. Profits and morale are high. Job well done. and so that's how I talked about conducting for resource management.
I love that.
Well,
I had a mini, because I was going down that road a little bit, but not nearly so eloquently, talking about the similarity between conducting a meeting with purpose and conducting an orchestra. And the only thing I added was at the very end, there's kind of a summary of action items for the business meeting and refreshments in the cafeteria after the symphony.
Oh, okay.
For the orchestra.
Get that refreshment, huh?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
But I like the applause better.
Oh, well, yeah, and that was the audit.
That was the audit. I loved that. Obviously a positive audit.
Obviously a positive audit. Yes, gosh. Anyway, so I had fun writing an article, and that's why I laughed when we selected the word conduct, because I've talked about conduct before. This is good. So
perfect.
It was kind of cool.
And for our listeners, it was me that selected that word. It was not Wayne. So there you go. Because he's a very humble person.
Well, thank you. But we selected it, so it's okay.
That's true. We
All right.
did.
And from there, I just kind of went down a laundry list, if you will. So I didn't go very deep into conduct as typically you and I have done in the past with other verbs. Mm-hmm. But I did go down this laundry list because, again, as I said, as you and I have stated before, the English language is so convoluted with words that mean and do different things. Mm-hmm. And conduct is no stranger to that analogy.
I read something along those lines too, Wayne, and it said, when in doubt, use the most commonly used form of to conduct, the commonly used meaning. And I couldn't figure out what the most commonly used meaning was. Did you have an impulse in that way, in any direction?
I didn't, because I see synonyms and antonyms all the time. Yeah. And I said, okay, I'm going to try and stay strictly to our word, and
Right.
I didn't want to look at those things, so I didn't look at them. I did see that there was notation um, there that pointed me in that direction, but I
Uh-huh.
chose not to look there.
Good for you.
So I'm just going to do these one at a time, and we can talk
Okay.
about them as we want. And please break in there anytime you want to with anything else that you're going to offer.
Okay.
Um, because I said, okay, we use the verb conduct in so many ways.
Right.
And here's one of them. We can conduct ourselves. And
Yes.
as our definition talked about, that's conducting ourselves in a typical or a prescribed behavior. Um, and there's many ways of doing that. You conduct yourself differently in church than you would out with your group, right?
And can I just say, once the pastor of our church said, please act like you're a church going person when you're in the parking lot trying to get out after the service.
Well, I can see hands and signals flashing right now.
That you would not normally use inside the church. Yes.
Exactly. and, and as you have so eloquently suggested, we can conduct an orchestra.
Right.
So that's another way to use conduct. We conduct surveys. Oh,
Yes.
yeah. And how do you conduct a survey? I'm sure. Have you conducted any surveys?
I have.
And
Yes.
how do you conduct a
Well,
survey?
it turns out there's a real science to it in terms of the way you ask the questions, the series that you ask them, kind of building up to a topic. It's not that you're trying to mislead people, but you don't want you're working very hard to not. Um, well, you should be working very hard to generate objective answers as opposed to trying to manipulate them toward an answer.
Aha, I
So,
see. Okay. Yes. And I have also on here, we conduct feasibility studies.
yes.
And in grad school, I did this one project with a group outside the organization, without outside the university, and they were conducting a feasibility study. I go, oh, so let me get involved in this because I'm trying to, learn. And
Right.
so they said, come in, and the feasibility study was basically transportation up a two-lane highway between two major cities.
Okay.
And the feasibility study was to suggest how it can be implemented and how they could do things, cut costs, be very efficient, very on time, within budget, and all those kinds of things. And the feasibility study was to see how they could do it. Well, the two cities were in argument, and they were in contrast to what the feasibility study was being accomplished. And
Uh-huh.
they asked for this study. They didn't want the lanes to be widened to let traffic go in and out any better than what it was already. And as we kind of continued the feasibility study, it became prominent or obvious to us that, hey, we shouldn't be asking them how they can do this. We should be asking them when and how they're going to do it, because the growth is happening and they can't stop the growth.
Hmm.
So they're going to have to widen this. So it was not if you guys want to, it's how are you going to manage it because it's
Right.
happening.
You've got to ask the right question. Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
So feasibility studies, I felt I learned that sometimes they are useful.
That reminds me of a time that I was in someone was conducting a focus group, and I was able to participate in that. And the question was, should this was many years ago, how popular would 2-liter soda bottles be? And
Hmm.
I said, absolutely not. It'll go bad before it gets used. There's just too much in there. Now, the 2-liter bottle of soda is one of the most popular purchased sizes of soda today. So, what that led me to conclude is that if you want me in a focus group, pay close attention to what I'm saying and then do the opposite.
Opposite.
Yes.
Okay. And ladies and gentlemen, you have heard that. So Sheila,
Yes.
if you need something to happen, get Sheila on your team right now.
And then do the opposite of what
And
I
you
say.
and you will be amazed at what happens.
It could be the best business decision you ever made.
Uh-huh. Before I continue parts of my list, what would you like to offer us?
Well, interestingly enough, yesterday, as I was studying up on how I was going to be researching this word, someone conducted a text scam on me.
Ooh.
So, and ironically, today, then this morning, I was looking on how to conduct a text scam, and all I saw was how to get out of one, not how to conduct one. But
Mm.
nevertheless, I screen popped up as I was researching sites, and it said that this was Microsoft Security Defender, and that a Trojan virus was detected, and I had to call this number.
Mm.
And even though it was a 200 number, it acted like an 800 number, so they could remotely delete the virus and protect my computer.
Aha.
But you never want to invite someone into your computer.
Oh.
So fortunately, I had my iPhone here and was able to research how to delete because it paralyzed my mouse. I could not get out of that screen. I
Oh
couldn't use my
no.
mouse. Right?
Huh.
So I realized that I could hit Control Alt Delete. I happen to have two screens on my computer here. So if you hit
Mm.
Control Alt Delete, this is something to keep in mind. Look up how to get out of a frozen window there. A pop-up window came up that showed all of the programs running, and I could delete uh, everything and shut down because I had already tried to shut it down and turn it on, and that screen was still there. So anyway, I was able to shut down all the apps that were running, and it got me out of there swiftly. And lo and behold, there's no evidence of a Trojan virus on my computer today.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
so try to conduct. No, I'm not issuing that invitation to anybody.
And what would now? Okay, I have a word here. It's CAD, CAD. What is a
Okay,
CAD? When you hear the word CAD, what do you think of?
I think
Is
of a computer. Well, okay, there are two things I think of: some kind of computer component,
uh-huh.
or an individual who behaves in a fashion that is just uncouth.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I'm saying that because when we get these viruses or these things that we think are viruses, the best way to remember
Ooh,
Sheila's
Control
advice about
Alt
Control Alt
Delete.
Delete is, hey, that's a CAD,
I
and
like that. Thank
Control
you.
Alt Delete. I just made that
Great.
up.
I like it. I like it. You're gonna CAD the CAD who attacked your CAD.
Exactly.
Okay.
And
Great.
tried to put a CAD in your CAD.
Right.
So let's get rid of that CAD.
Not happening here. Thank you very much.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Oh, I'm looking at the clock. It's 22:41
Okay.
already.
Okay. Let's
Okay.
hear some more of your list.
Some more on my list. We conduct audits. Uh, as privy to the article that I wrote, I ended with one of those. And audits are always good. I think audits are always good, don't you? Or do you? Do you
I
think
do.
audits?
I
Okay.
do. It helps make sure that you're on track, that you're adhering to your goals and your purposes.
Exactly. And when I was learning math in elementary school, I hated that we always had to check our work. And checking our work is nothing more
Oh,
than an audit to
you're
make sure
right.
you did it right.
They should have used that word, and it would have made it so much more doable,
Maybe.
interesting,
Uh-huh.
like a forensic audit.
Oh,
Ooh,
yes.
doesn't that sound good?
And speaking of forensics, we conduct a defense in a court of law.
Yes, we do.
We conduct services. There are church services that
Oh,
we conduct.
yes.
Yeah, right? Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
We conduct raids.
Yes, I
The
was thinking about that too.
what were you thinking about raids? What was
Well,
on your mind?
the FBI's been doing a wonderful job lately of raiding child abuse or
Aha.
human trafficking
Mm,
programs or situations.
good for them.
Yeah, rescuing children.
Excellent. Excellent. And just people in need, right? I
Yes.
mean, yes. Okay. Um, we conduct reviews. Ooh.
Mm.
We conduct is such again, it's a a utility word that just, oh my goodness, we conduct lots of things. We conduct
Yes.
ethical reviews. And
Right.
sometimes I hear those ethical reviews in the news. I go, I'm thinking that's unethical about the ethical review here.
Hey, I found out the Air Department of the Air Force is conducting a hackathon or conducted a hackathon last month.
Oh, did they?
Yeah. Yeah.
Go Air Force. All
Yeah.
right. And here's a fun one. We
Okay.
conduct experiments. Ooh,
Yes.
yes.
What
I
was your
like it.
favorite experiment in high school?
My favorite experiment in high school. Hmm.
You
I'm
know what? That's not fair. I didn't give you heads up notice on that question.
That's okay. I don't. Truth be told, I never took chemistry in high school,
Ah, okay.
but I did take math, and we conducted experiments in math
Okay.
because it was like, oh, well, how many moves would it take to do this, or how many
Yeah.
steps would have to do this, and working through that. And obviously, the teacher always had something in their back pocket. Say, okay, I have one that's just a little bit better.
Yeah, those
I'm,
teachers.
I'm not sure those experiments were all. I think they were rigged, but that's okay.
I
They
think so too.
we conduct business. Ooh,
Yes.
our
Yes.
day-to-day bread and butter, right?
Right.
And how about you? What ooh, it's 25:51. What would you like to say
Okay.
before we have to go?
I was involved in the conduction of a implementation review a couple weeks
Ooh,
ago. Yeah,
okay.
we were scuba diving, and we have everybody in our group had different levels of ability. And so we got out to the dive. We got on in the shore and swam out to where we were going to go see the reef, and we got the signal from the dive master that we would all go down, and within seconds of being down there, he said, "Go back up. We're aborting the dive." And so
Hmm.
some people, it turns out we were in the midst of both a rip tide and a rip
Ooh,
current, which
ooh,
are kind of perpendicular to each other. So
dangerous.
it was, yes, and it was immediately obvious. And the hard part was getting back to the shore. But as soon as we got on the shore, we conducted the implementation review, and the dive master was very hard on himself. He said he should have gone out there first before anyone else had been out there to see what was going on and testing it. And then everybody talked about what they did well and what they did poorly. And then we all high-fived each other because we lived through it and we learned a lot, and it made us a better team.
Excellent. And important, and also importantly, everyone was listening and everyone was engaged and
And
everyone
paying
was
attention. Yeah.
paying attention to the dive master, as we
Yes.
should, right?
Yes. Yes.
As he was conducting that emergency kind of thing
Yes.
situation.
Yes.
Yes,
And you
which
can
is
be
very cool.
sure that every dive after that, we closely paid attention to what the dive master was saying.
Everybody wanted to be his buddy.
Right, right, right.
We're talking about dive buddies here, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, because a dive buddy is supposed to go in pairs at least.
Yes, they keep you
Yes,
safe.
exactly. All right. And Sheila, I'm looking at that
Okay,
time
all
and
right.
I can't finish my list.
Ugh,
Is there anything that you would like to say
n-
before you take us home?
no. Is there anything you would like to say before? Because I talked too much about stories here.
No, 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 no. I probably talked too much about my article.
Hey, 27 minutes with Sheila and Wayne where we talk too much.
Would you take us home, please?
Oh, we do appreciate everybody listening to us. We try to keep it close to 27 minutes so that you don't think we're talking too much. But thanks
Exactly.
for being with us. Thanks for listening to us. Conduct yourselves safely out there this week.
Thanks, everybody. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Thanks, Sheila.
Thanks.